Welcome into OutKick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I appreciate all of you hanging out with us wherever you may be across this great country or this great land. It is Monday, and the NFL Draft is finally here. And right off the top, I have free money for all of you out there in Tennessee, Virginia, Michigan, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, West Virginia, Colorado, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. If you are a new user and you go to FanDuel.com/Clay right now, listen to me carefully, FanDuel.com/Clay, for $5, you can bet on Trevor Lawrence to be the overall #1 draft pick on Thursday. And if you do that, you get back $100. That's a 20-1 payout. So you got a brother, you got a sister, you got a mom and a dad that haven't signed up yet, and you want to make $100 by Thursday for a $5 bet. All you have to do to get that $100, if you're in Tennessee, Virginia, Michigan, Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, West Virginia, Colorado, New Jersey, or Pennsylvania, is go bet $5 and you get back $100. That is FanDuel.com/Clay. I want to start with tremendous praise out there for a 24-year veteran of the LA Police Department who said, Dion Joseph is his name. He requested a meeting with LeBron. Again, he's been working in the LA Police Department for 24 years. And he wrote this: Dear LeBron, I'm not going to come at you from a place of hatred. There will be no name calling. I was raised to see the whole of a human being, not to hyper-focus on their flaws or make said flaws the whole of who they are. I'm an honest man. What you do for children and other acts of charity shows a huge heart. You show to be a family man, and that's to be respected. You play for the team my family has cheered for since the 1960s and myself since 1979. But your current stance on policing is so off base and extreme. Your tweet that targeted a police officer in Ohio who saved a young woman's life was irresponsible and disturbing. It showed a complete lack of understanding of the challenge of our job in the heat of a moment. You basically put a target on the back of a human being who had to make a split-second decision to save a life from a deadly attack. A decision I know he and many others wish they never had to make, especially when it involves someone so young. Instead of apologizing, you deflected. You said you took your tweet down because you did not want it to be used for hate, when the tweet itself was the embodiment of hatred rooted in a lack of understanding of the danger of the situation. I don't know if this will ever reach you, but my hope is that one day I can sit down with you and talk. As a man of faith, I can have no hatred towards you, but I do feel I can help you understand the reality of the profession of policing and that there is another side you need to hear. You are tired of black folks dying, so am I. You hate racism and police brutality, so do I. But you cannot paint 800,000 men and women who are of all races, faiths, sexual orientations, and are also mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, preachers, coaches, community members, and just human with such a broad and destructive brush. Unlike some who have dug their heels in the belief that police are inherently evil, I think if you yourself actually sat down and had a real, honest, and open conversation with a cop, there is a strong chance you may discover we are not the monsters you have come to believe we are, who deserve the hate and disdain you have. And even if you come away feeling the same way, I could respect it, because at least you gave the other side your ear instead of only hearing one narrative. The offer is on the table, LeBron. No cameras, no fanfare, just two men who care talking. I know it's a long shot, but this division and hatred must stop. It's clear based on rising crime in marginalized communities that cops and the community need to build bridges to save lives on all sides. That cannot be done through the demonization of any group of people. Just putting it out in the universe, brother. Even if not me, please take the time to talk to a police officer instead of judging them. No shade. Thanks for all the positive things you do. Big time, major props to Los Angeles police officer Deon Joseph, a 24-year veteran serving his community, for that letter that I just read from him, addressed open letter to LeBron James based on what LeBron tweeted last week. Absolutely fantastic response, perfect pitch. I doubt that LeBron will meet with him because what he said is true. LeBron has bought into the idea that all police are evil and that the only way to combat the racism is to suddenly be aligned against the police, even though the data all reflects, as LeBron would know if he actually studied this issue, that when you demonize police, the guaranteed outcome is the murder rate among black people skyrockets because the number of black, white, Asian, and Hispanic lives that police officers on our streets and in our communities save every single day is in the thousands, if not the tens of thousands over the course of a year. And we are seeing what's happening when you pull them back out of their community. So props to this officer. You can go read that full letter yourself up at OutKick. You can share it. But again, that's 24-year LAPD vet Deon Joseph with a fabulous letter that is written about up on OutKick and that I just read to all of you. Oscars. The Oscars have collapsed in viewership. Lowest audience ever, down over 50%. They got an 8.9 and a 19 share, down from an 18.1 and a 33. Reports are early out there. Whether they remain to be accurate, I'm not sure, because there are sometimes late numbers that come in and adjust the tallies, that there are going to be under 10 million people who watch the Oscars this year, down from around 23 million last year. And by the way, last year was the least watched Oscars on record. I put out a poll. I hadn't seen a single one of the 8 movies that are nominated for Best Picture. I didn't watch a single minute of the Oscars. It's the first time in my adult life that I have not watched a minute of the Oscars, and probably the first time, candidly, and I'm 42 now, probably the first time since I was 10 or 11 years old that I didn't watch any of the Oscars. And it may have even gone back farther than that, because it used to be when I was a kid that we would watch the Oscars at home. My dad, my mom, my sister, we'd all gather around because they used to nominate movies for Best Picture that you might have actually seen. And it used to be a fun celebration of the movie, something that typically brought all of us together, or at least did in the 1980s, the 1990s, and the 2000s. Now it seems like Hollywood is basically designed to try to make you think that the world is an evil place. And it's probably not a coincidence that the more they try to reach out to China, the more negative our overall Hollywood movies become. We got a lot of different people who are a part of the show today. I want to tell you right off the top here, my friends at Regal Realty are hooking you up. If you're in Tennessee or looking to move to Tennessee, there's not a single house in my neighborhood for sale because everybody's moving here, then I've got the guy and the team for you. Hunter Briley and Regal Realty help individuals buy or build their next residential or investment property. Contact Hunter Briley and the Regal Realty Group. Again, if you're moving to Nashville and you are interested in moving into the state, his phone number is 615-630-9735. That is 615-630-9735. The housing market in the state of Tennessee, Nashville in particular, is white hot. If you're moving, you need the right agent. Hunter Briley and Regal Realty will hook you up. A couple of other, I'm doing a mock draft every day up to Thursday. And by the way, we're doing a live NFL draft show in downtown Nashville on Thursday. I'll give you a little bit of the details on that as the week progresses. And thanks to everybody who came out for our event in Knoxville. We had a big crowd of people, got to meet a lot of OutKick fans up for the orange and white game in Knoxville. Chad Hutton, Jonathan Withrow, and myself. Really fun crew. Had a good time there Saturday night in Knoxville. They've lifted all the regulations in the bars in Knoxville, restaurants. Everything is a full go. I can't wait for college football season. I've already booked places to stay for a couple of different games all over the southeastern United States to get back out and be able to go watch games, including at the University of Tennessee. So I've got my top 10. And I'm going to adjust this every day based on the rumors that continue to come out. But right now, my top 10, I'm going to do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. My top 10 right now, Trevor Lawrence, obviously going number 1 overall. And as I mentioned just a little bit ago, if you go to fanduel.com/Clay, you can bet $5. That's the max bet. And you get back $100. So you have the ability to win $100 on a 100% slam dunk definite. You can't lose. All you have to do is go sign up at fanduel.com. Second spot, Zach Wilson, another freebie. I think third, Mac Jones is going to be the San Francisco 49er pick. I saw Ian Rappaport reported today that the 49ers were down actually to Mac Jones or to to Mac Jones or Trey Lance. I think the pick is going to be Mac Jones. I think the Falcons are going to stick at 4 and take Kyle Pitts. I then think that the Bengals are going to take Penei Sewell at 5, Jamar Chase at 6 to the Dolphins, being paired with Tua. In the 7 spot, I think that Jalen Waddle is going to be the pick. And this, by the way, is the first time that I think somebody could trade up. I think at the 8 spot, the Carolina Panthers take Justin Fields. At 9, I'm going with Trey Lance to the Denver Broncos. And then at 10, I've got the Dallas Cowboys taking the first defensive player off the board at Patrick Surtain Jr., the Alabama cornerback. So that's my top 10. I'm only going to do the top 10. On Thursday, we will have our 5th annual OutKick mock draft where listeners can call in Thursday morning in the final hour of the show, and we will see how our mock draft as a radio show can do relative to all the others that are out there. A bunch of other news stories. We got a ton to get to today. There's a lot stacked up. The NHL is going to move to ESPN and to Turner, leaving NBC, meaning that Turner will now have, alongside of ESPN, a partnership for the NHL, like they have a partnership for the NBA. So again, the NHL is going to be leaving NBC and going to ESPN and Turner. I wonder how much of this has to do with the English Premier League rights, likely to cost way more money for NBC, and why they would decide to let the NHL walk away. Maybe they were angry that the NHL took the money from ESPN. Maybe they didn't like the secondary package, but as a result, Turner and ESPN have the NHL now. The New York Times has peddled fear porn now for over a year as it pertains to COVID. I read the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post. I read them all every day. COVID data finally published on the back page of the New York Times, kind of buried in a story about whether or not you should get your kids vaccinated, even though they can't get vaccinated yet, were the actual stats about the danger to COVID. First time I've seen it, and I read the Times every day. First time I've seen the actual data. Do you know what your chances are of dying of COVID if you get it and you are under the age of 50 and an adult? So if you are 18 years old to 49 years old, it's a huge percentage of the overall population. You get COVID, right? This is not your overall death rate. This is if you get COVID. You have a 1 in 50,000 chance of dying of COVID if you actually get it. Meaning that your chances are actually much lower than that because a lot of people never get it or never know they have it. Why is that significant? 1 in 50,000 is insanely close to zero. So close to zero, in fact, that if you are an adult between the ages of 18 and 49, far more people of those ages committed suicide. You were almost as likely between the ages of 18 and 49 to be murdered as you were to die of COVID. I have been hammering what an awful decision the United States has made in our response to COVID for nearly a year now. But when you hear these data, you are almost as likely to be murdered if you are 18 to 49 as you are to die of COVID. 1 in 50,000, even if you get it. And way more people committed suicide than have died of COVID in those age ranges. It's a sham. a farce the way our country has responded. The answer has been clear and straightforward, as long as it possibly could have been, to do what Florida and Governor Ron DeSantis did there, to open up the state but protect the elderly, particularly those over 85 years old who are at much greater risk of death from COVID and everything else for that matter. And so these data points matter. If you are a kid or you have a kid, they are far more likely to die of the seasonal flu than they are of COVID. Let me repeat that. It has been the case for a year. We've known the data. It's why our schools should have never shut down. It's why back in June, the American Association of Pediatricians said, hey, by the way, kids need to be in school. The damages to them are far more significant from not being in school than it is to be in school. They are more likely to die of the seasonal flu. We almost never shut down any school for the seasonal flu, yet if you are a kid under 18 years old, you are far more likely to have died of the seasonal flu, even this year and in past years, than you are of COVID. Another stat. Yet people keep saying, hey, we're following the science, and the science is dictating that you are not actually following the science. You are idiots, and I'm talking about you, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. You are now requiring in the state of Michigan 2 to 4-year-olds in daycare to wear masks, even though 2 to 4-year-olds have absolutely no risk of dying of COVID themselves virtually, and also they are not primary vectors for the spread of the disease. This is cosmetic theater nonsense. It is illogical. It is anti-science. It is absurdly inappropriate and ridiculous for a dictator like Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer to be making this decision. The data and the science is clear. You are in no way supported by this decision. As I mentioned, we have got a lot to hit, and I want to tell you next about my friends at X-Chair. You ever wonder what the greatest chair in America is? I can tell you. It's the X-Chair. They make me as productive as I can possibly be. 3 hours of daily radio, this show, TV, also writing and managing OutKick all day long. I need good energy. I need good back support. I need a comfortable place to sit. And I love this X-Chair because it gives me an incredible massage and also heat therapy if I need it. It's the best chair out there to increase your productivity. A lot of people working from home now. And you probably found yourself sometimes sitting in an uncomfortable chair. Maybe you're working at the dining room table. Maybe you're sitting in an uncomfortable, big, fluffy chair. You can't actually feel like you're at work. This chair will make you feel like you're at work and also help to make sure that you have a lot of energy when you finish your day. You can get hooked up right now with xchairclay.com. That's xchair, the letter X, chairclay.com, all one word. And right now, it's on sale for $100 off. You can go to xchairclay.com, letter X, chairclay.com, 1-844-4XChair. Xchair has a 30-day guarantee of complete comfort, and you can finance your purchase for as little as $30 a month. Go to xchairclay.com, and right now, you can use the code XWheels for free X-Wheel blade casters. Get hooked up today. Trevor Bauer versus Fernando Tatis. I talked a little bit about this on the radio this morning, but I want you guys to hear it. On Friday, I coach a 9 and 10-year-old, helped to coach a 9 and 10-year-old Little League baseball team. Friday, we had a home run derby. We went to the 5 and the 6-year-old fields where they have a fence of 105 feet, and we let the 9 and 10-year-old boys bat there and see how many home runs they could hit. They loved it. We had pizza party. It was a lot of fun. Kids, parents were all there. It's one of the best things about Little League is that the kids just get to have an incredible time, and it's made me a bigger and better baseball fan to be back around the sport on any level. Now, let me just tell you, kids love the effervescent celebration of baseball. They like bat flips. They like jogging around and celebrating. They like to mix it up like the Atlanta Braves do. I think baseball needs to give up on the unwritten rules and lean aggressively into the idea of the fun of Trevor Bauer and Fernando Tatis as we are in the middle of a Padres-Dodgers rivalry this year that has been absolutely scintillating. Last night, Padres came back from a 7-1 deficit, won it in extra innings, and Tatis and Trevor Bauer have been going back and forth a lot. Now, one of the interesting things about baseball is baseball dominates local regional markets, but it doesn't necessarily have a big national fan base. I think one reason is because there isn't that sort of joy, that effervescent quality, that celebratory spirit in baseball like exists in other sports. And kids love that. Love the fun of baseball, bat flips, celebrations, everything else. I think it's time to do away with the unwritten rules of baseball and just have a good time. Stop throwing at each other. Stop bench clearing brawls over stupid unwritten violations. I salute Trevor Bauer and Fernando Tatis for helping the overall sport to be more engaging, entertaining, and fun, just like a lot of these kids love to play it. Speaking of salute, I want to give a shout out to UFC 261, full indoor arena crowd, 15,000 people in Jacksonville, Florida. Props to Dana White, props to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. It is the first full crowd indoor arena. They didn't even require masks in the crowd. The idea of requiring masks outdoor is thoroughly rejected by pretty much every scientific study, and it's past time to get back to normalcy. Instead of requiring vaccine passports, you should just have to prove your age if you want to be super safe. If you're under the age of 50, you have zero risk just about from COVID. As I told you, 1 in 50,000 people would actually die. That means you could have over 3 of those full arenas, everybody in them having COVID. As long as everybody was 50 or under, 1 person would die. Your average NFL football stadium, even if it were filled to the brim, if every single person in that stadium was 50 or under 50, I should say, 1 person would die of COVID, even if the entire stadium had it. It's wild to think about, right? That data point and that risk analysis has not been out there because the media has fallen all over itself to talk about how safe vaccines are. So why wouldn't you also talk about how safe COVID is, even if caught, for people under the age of 50? The fact that we ever shut down and stayed shut down is a fundamental failure of everybody out there in the universe of our American political sphere. Look, I want to talk to you for a minute about Dr. Hank. My guys at Dr. Hank, you know what they do? They take care of ED issues. You know, over half of men have issues with ED. Since 2017, Dr. Hank has been making America hard again. It's an amazing tagline. I don't know how many people could say that without chuckling a little bit. Props to Dr. Hank, making America hard again. Dr. Hank helps you get low-cost ED meds and overcome the psychological and emotional barriers to getting ED treatment. They secure your prescription, ship it to you discreetly every month from USA pharmacies, all for as low as $2 per pill. So don't wait. Join the movement to make America hard again. Go to mydrhank.com/clay and sign up. Tell Dr. Hank I sent you, and you get 50% off your first subscription order. Again, he's trying to make America hard again. That's mydrhank.com/clay. Offer available for a limited time. mydrhank.com/clay. College football playoff poll. Over 50,000 of you voted in our college football playoff poll. If you missed the news on Friday, and you may well have done so, if you missed the news, right now, there is talk about expanding the college football playoff. They released a statement, the College Football Playoff Committee did, where they said they were considering 6, 8, 10, 12, 16 different playoff teams going forward as part of an expansion. So I asked my audience, what ideal college football playoff would you like to see? And like I said, over 50,000 of you voted. 63% of you thought that the right number was 8 teams. That's actually where I fall, and I'm going to unpack that a little bit tomorrow on the show as to what I think an 8-team playoff should look like. 20% of you said to stay at 4. 4 was the right number. 6% thought we should go to 12, and the remainder, which I can barely read my writing, the remainder said that 16 teams was the right number, and I think it's 11%, if I can read my writing right. That should add up to 100. If I somehow screwed that up, that's on me. 63% want for there to be, yeah, that's right. 63% want there to be 8 teams. 80% believe that expanding the college football playoff is the right call, according to this poll. Again, 63% want 8, 6% want for there to be 12 teams, and 11% are in favor of 16 teams. And so I think this is pretty fascinating. I'm betting that within the next couple of years, we are going to go to at least 8 college football teams. And then the question will become, how do we decide which those 8 teams, how do we pick those 8 teams? Whew. I will be live at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Pacific, breaking down everything in the world of the NFL draft. Rejoice, it is finally here. I gave you my top 10. I broke down everything. Free money for everybody out there. Bet $5, you get back $100 at FanDuel.com/Clay. $5, you get back $100 at FanDuel.com/Clay. This is OutKick on Fox Sports Radio. But that's not even what we're doing right now. I'm so used to saying that. This is OutKick the Show, and it's on the OutKick Network. I got TV next. Thanks for hanging out with us. Go meet with that police officer, LeBron. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. I'll see you guys tomorrow.